Join Venus Castleberg as she teleports you to the wonderland of possibilities, where we explore consciousness from the inside out to create a different world, where problems are possibilities and your point of view really does create your reality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wonderland of Possibilities. I'm really excited today because I have a few of my friends here, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to play with your spirit guides. So I'll start the conversation with a question. Did you know that you have spirit guides? Did you know that you have a spiritual team, is another way of seeing it, that is actually here for you? They're literally hanging around you, waiting for you to ask them for help or ask them for contribution or ask them to do something. They will not, however, interfere. So they're not here to interfere with your life. It's your life, and they're not going to do anything for you or chime in with their points of view unless you ask them to. So it's just that they're just here to support you in whatever you like. And if that's just, reminding you every once in a while that you're not alone, that's a big one, right? A lot of us feel really alone. And in the times that you feel most alone, maybe it's the time that you talk to your spiritual team. Maybe you, so that's just kind of an overview of like what your spiritual team is and what they're here for. Let's go ahead and open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can chime in. Any questions, anything you'd like to know about your spiritual team?
Well, hi, first of all, and thank you for inviting me. I kind of forget that I have teammates, and every now and then I remember, but it's not very clear to me, like what can I ask them? I understand I can't ask them with the dishes or with something very... But I'm not sure how to ask for their support or how can they assist me.
Cool. Well, I mean, how do you ask your friends?
But I get for my friends, I have their reaction. Like they answer me, yes, I will, no, I won't, or I can see their micro expressions.
Cool. Well, it's a great question, and it's just playing with it. It's just the willingness to talk to them. Just like we have a body, just like you could wake up every morning and go, "Hi, body." You could wake up every morning and go, "Hey, guys." Like, how are you today? Right? I had a really cool experience in my foundation classes last weekend. We were talking about entities. No surprise. I talk about them all the time. But and there was a gal was working with one of her teammates, and my dog was sitting right next to me right here. And my dog has done this one other time, but this time, like, she literally was like looking up where this being was, right, and was like looking at it, and then she started talking to it. She's like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." Like, I was just like, oh my god. I was actually so thrilled because I have had the privilege of working with entities for now 20 plus years, and it still tickles me when there's a confirmation or there's a like something like that where you're like, I knew the being was standing right here, and then for my dog to like literally look up and like start talking to it was really cool. And it was just that confirmation. So you can ask your team like, "Hey guys, I don't really know you. I'd like to get to know you. Can you make yourself known to me? Or can you show me some sort of confirmation that you're here?" And it might be something as random as I had a friend of mine who picked up a soap bottle, and he was thinking about fairies at the time. And then as he picked up the soap bottle, it like literally poured out a whole bunch of bubbles. And he just instantly knew that it was the fairies were saying hello, right? But he was thinking about them, and they were confirming. So they'll show you if you want to know. It's just a matter of being willing to ask.
I have another question.
Cool. Awesome.
Like, these teammates, I've heard people say that one of my teammates is like a saint or some ascended master, like the third Dalai Lama, or I don't know, something like that. Can they be like different beings? Were they embodied at some point? Like, do they have embodied experience, or are they like fairies and other stuff?
That's a great question. It's any and all of the above. And again, that's like just asking and being willing to get to know your team. You'll start to get a presence or an awareness. Right? I definitely have fairies, but I also have a Native American woman. I also sometimes get Gabriel, who some people know as an archangel. He comes when I'm going through a really challenging time. So, and when I became a clairvoyant medium when I was 30, he was one of the first ones I saw. But then once I got to be at peace with this gift that I was given, he told me he was leaving, and I was like, "Why are you leaving?" And then he's like, "I'll be back." So it was just, but it was like just asking, and then you'll get the clarity, and it might take some time, or it might be like you pick up a random book and it flips to a special spirit or something. When that happens, then you just trust it, because that's just them letting you know who they are. And I do know this about entities: they don't necessarily have a name. We are the ones that want them to have a name. So like the Native American woman does not have a name. She just never told me a name. But there's been times when I was getting to know my spiritual team that I wanted them all to have a name, because that was like gave me significance and let me define them. And instead, what else is possible if you don't give them a name? Like, they don't have to fit into a box, right? If you were like thinking the third Dalai Lama, that's cool, but then you might confine him to that energy. So a great example is Gary Douglas used to channel Rasputin. Well, I don't know if you guys know anything about Rasputin's life on Earth, right? So, but he's not necessarily always well thought of, right?
Rasputin was a member of, like, it was just an entity that he was channeling, or was part of his teammates?
I never talked to Gary about that. I don't know, but he was channeling him. So he was part of his team for a little while, at least, if not ongoing. But I haven't talked to him about it since he stopped channeling. But it's just that, like, if you ask, you will get the awareness, but it's the willingness to ask, lower your walls and barriers, and just receive the awareness, whatever that awareness is. Yeah. Cool. Does that make sense?
Makes more sense than it did before.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, and just play. I mean, that's why we called it How to Play with Your Spirit Guides, because it's not significant. We are taught in this reality to make everything very significant, right? Instead of, why don't you just play with them? I do know this, they would love that you would recognize that you are not alone and they are there for you. I do know that much. So, but however you play with them, you can. And you did say something in the beginning. You're like, I can't ask them to do my dishes. I'm like, no, but if you really don't like dishes, you could ask them to find somebody to do your dishes for you. Again, just play. I mean, who knows what's going to show up?
Great tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome.
And also sometimes they can bring you gifts.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that, Martin. Thank you for that reminder. Yes, feathers are definitely a gift. If you ask them, like, show me you're here, then you'll notice things you didn't notice before, and then just trust. And I also know, for me, if my team's trying to get my attention and I'm not paying attention, it'll feel like I got like a hand on my shoulder, but it's tingly. And I know instantly that that's them trying to get my attention. But again, just play. I don't know how it's going to show up for you, but when you start to ask those questions, then you can just be like, can you just make it really obvious to me you're here? Like my dog, like it was really cute. So, and then I found out afterwards, because I'm in actually communication with my team, and I found out afterwards that my cat sees spirits all the time. Like that's just, it's normal. The dog does not see them all the time. That the times that she has seen them, they let her see them for me. so that I would have, again, that's confirmation for me. And I've had, over the last 20 plus years, I've had lots of that. When I was in doubt, I'd have something happen that I was like, okay, there's no doubt. I'm a clairvoyant medium, so I do readings for people, and sometimes I do massages, and people come in, beings without bodies come in while I'm doing a session. And when they do that, I'll ask the person, hey, are you open to hearing from this person or whatever? And they're usually either yes or no. I've only had one no in 23 years, but they usually will just show me attributes that somebody would recognize. So one time I had a lady come in, an older lady, and I was talking to this client, and I was like, there's an older lady here. She's got white hair. I'm like, did she wear a wig? Because it looked perfect, right? The hair was perfect. And that was all that I could really see. But the lady just laughed and she says, no, she didn't wear a wig, but she never had a hair out of place. So she knew exactly who it was. And I was shown what she would know was her. So that was the confirmation that I had. Okay, I really am seeing this being, and this person confirmed it. And so it's always attributes that the person will recognize that you're talking to, if you're doing that sort of work. So cool. Any other questions?
So if you're curious about this topic, where do you start? Because you say lower your walls and barriers, and you say ask for this or ask them to show or contribute. But if you're brand new and you don't have the sense of your team, or what we're going to call them, where do you start?
That's great. Great question. Well, first of all, I'd say ask. So ask and you shall receive really does work. So if you're like, I really want to get to know them, then just ask for that. And then whatever's going to work for you to help open that more is going to then present itself and show up in your field. I do psychic development classes. There's tons of things that you can Google, right? You can read all about it. That's what I did at first. I became a clairvoyant medium. I didn't know anybody that had that gift. So like I read a lot of books because I was like, truly, I was just wanting to not be the crazy person. So I was looking for other people who were crazier than I was. And I was happy to find people crazier than me. So you can find them. But again, just ask your team, like, okay, hey team, I'd really like to get to know you and develop these capacities that I might have. Like, how do I do that? And just let whatever you're guided to. You might feel guided to go to like a bookstore and pick up a book, or you might feel guided to like watch a video on it, or you might be guided to like book a session and talk to somebody about it. So those are all possibilities, and it's really just what would work for you. And call and talk to somebody that you might know somebody who has a capacity with entities, and if you do, then maybe call and talk to them. So I love talking about this topic. It's really fun for me, and because to me it's magical. So it's like, and so I'm just like, anytime I get a chance to have a conversation on it, it's really, it tends to open more. And I realize how much more I know and how much more I've learned over the years. That I actually just became a clairvoyant medium when I turned 30, pretty much overnight. And I did not want the gift at first. So, but about 3 years in, I was like, okay, I was given this for some reason. And then now it's just fun. It's like, because there are tons of beings without bodies wandering around on the planet with us. So not just your teammates, but others too.
And you started seeing them like all of a sudden it got crowdier and crowdier.
Yeah, so I was asking for things to change. Be careful what you wish for. I was not asking to become a clairvoyant medium, but I was asking for to be more connected to the spirit realm. And then I was taking Reiki classes. I became a Reiki master. And after my Reiki master, I came home and I was practicing Reiki on my then fiance. And a man walked in the room, a spirit. And I was like, oh, a spirit just walked in the room. That's kind of weird. But I was starting to like go with trusting what I was seeing. So I asked him about it and he says, oh, I know exactly who that is. That's Slim, the ranch hand when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's still alive? He's like, no, he's dead. I'm like, fabulous. I'm a medium. So that's how I discovered it. And like I said, I kind of hid it out from many people and I didn't even tell my mom for like 3 years. Because I really didn't want that gift. I was like, okay, you can take it back. And then I actually slowly started getting depressed. And I realized that the depression was because I was not acknowledging the capacity that I had. So when I finally started to acknowledge the capacity and say, okay, how can I use this to my advantage? What can I do with this? Then the depression lifted and I was able to like tell my mom. And so it's quite the adventure. And thank you, Sandra, for asking that question. Because we do actually have on the YouTube channel, we have the entity experiment. And it really is my personal story, but we did a series of videos about entities and demons and all that stuff. So if you want more information, you could actually just go watch that, the entity experiment. We'll post the link in the comments. It's on my YouTube channel. So you can probably, if you're on the YouTube, you can just scroll down and then that would be a great place to start too.
One more question?
Sure, absolutely.
Are the teammates always with us or just sometimes? And I'm asking because when we have sex, when we have copulation with another person, now I'm imagining a bunch of entities. Like my teammates and their teammates are there by the bed watching us and commenting.
That's cute. And the short answer is yes, they are always with you.
Great. I was afraid of that.
I don't know that they're necessarily sitting there and commenting, though. Remember, your team is on your side. So your team is never going to judge you. They do not judge you. So the negative voice you have in your head is not your teammates. Your teammates will never disempower you. So they're not sitting there judging you. They're just milling about, probably talking to each other, like doing whatever, right? And then there are some teammates that come and go. Like I said, Gabriel for me comes and goes. And then there's some that are just with me all the time. So I really don't give it much thought. And I understand where you're coming from. Because the first time I learned that there were aliens, yes, there are aliens. We'll talk about those maybe another time. But the first time I learned that there were aliens flying around up there watching us like some sort of ant farm, I definitely had a paradigm smash, is what I called it. And I was pretty traumatized by the fact that they were watching all the time. So I get it. And it's really not significant. If that's you trying to appear perfect and I did this for a very long time and cared what everyone and everything thought of me, right? And so when you think somebody's watching you all the time, then you can't be perfect because they'll see you in your worst days, right? But if you let go of the need to be perfect and have everybody and everything like you, then you really won't care if people are watching or not. So just a little side information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the questions. Anyone else have any more questions?
You want to tell them about the class we have in like 8 minutes, or we keep it a secret?
Sure. If somebody can post the link in the comments, that'd be awesome. We are doing a Beyond Death call where you can ask more questions, and you can definitely join us. It's not too late. If you sign up in the next few minutes, you may not be able to be on live, but we will definitely send you the recording. So, but we'll try to catch you and bring you in live if possible. Cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being you, and thank you for everyone watching and listening. I hope this shed some light on how to play with your spirit guides, and whatever you do, don't have any fun with it. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.